Hello and welcome to another video. In one of the recent videos I talked about maybe doing a video about OSMtracker for Android, and this is this video. If you're wondering why I'm not wearing my glasses, I did the whole recording before with glasses on, but the reflection in my eyes or in my glasses made me look like I was a demon, and I hope this is an improvement. Anyway, so if you want to use OSMtracker for Android, it's really useful if you're out and walking and maybe tracking a hiking path, or if you're tracking things in a town like benchmarks or post boxes or anything like that, or jostle stones that you can use. It is free, it is safe, and it is my favorite tracker to use. I mean, I've only really used two, but this is the one that I prefer anyway. So you find it, if you have an Android phone, you find it in the Google Play Store, where you can download it, and it should look something like that in the Play Store. And once you have downloaded it, you install it and open it, and it will look something like this. And it has a welcome screen, and it says this app is free software that respects your freedom. And I could even read that without my glasses. And there's a second screen that you can skip by pressing the skip button. And it says, this is a bit more difficult. OSMtracker for Android will use your GPS location to record track points and waypoints, even when the app is running in the background. Your data is not used to support ads. So that means if you were using a Google app for this kind of thing, it might send you ads for outdoor gear after you've been tracking in the woods or something like that. But with the OSMtracker, that won't happen. If you have your Facebook open and you're talking about going into the woods and exploring Wild Ireland, you might still get those ads, but you can't blame OSMtracker for it. Anyway, once you've read that, you can press done, and it will bring you to this screen where it shows your previously recorded tracks. And if you haven't done any before, the list will just be empty. But you see, those are some that I've been to, and it's not a secret because I've talked about them in previous videos. And if you want to start tracking, you press the plus at the top there, or at the bottom with the location symbol. And it will ask you then to access the location of your device, and that's of course necessary because otherwise you can't create a GPS track or a GPX track. So you will have to allow that to happen, and it will only ask you the first time around. And then you will see this screen, and for a few seconds it will look like that, and you can already see a couple of the buttons that are at your disposal to map or to track certain things. And you will not be able to press those buttons because the device will have to find the satellite connection first, and once it has done that, it will look like this. So you see the buttons are a bit brighter, or the text is at least, and you will have the screen signal. And I usually just use the text note function and take photo, because that's the stuff I'm interested in. I would probably find some of the amenities that I'm usually tracking under amenities, but I can just type in whatever I'm looking for. But you might be different. You might decide to use the buttons more. Everybody's different, of course. Do not use it while driving in a car, of course. If you have a passenger, even if it's a child that can spell already, they can do the job for you, for example. So that's a good way to include children into this. Says me, who doesn't have children. It's always easy to be positive about things like that. Then you can do voice recordings, but I don't find them very easy to match up with your track then. So play around and find out what's your best way of using it. But as I said, I only use the text note and the take photo really. So when I see, let's say I'm out, recently I walked from Innisteak to, well, not the whole way, from Innisteak to Thomastown, and the Trail Kilkenny is already mapped. Not the way I walked it for some reason. But anyway, I was looking for benches, for example, because they're usually not mapped, and stiles, because the track is already done, but things like stiles aren't usually. So I decided to map those. So I just press, when I see a bench, I press text note and it opens this, and I just type in bench and no backrest and wood. So no backrest is something that Street Complete will ask once there is a bench mapped and you're walking around doing Street Complete. It will ask, does this bench, if you have that quest activated, does this bench have a backrest? So to avoid that, I just type it in already and map it as that, so that question won't come up, and wood would be the material. And if it's made of iron or stone or concrete or plastic, then of course I would use these instead. And you have to find your own way of how you take your notes, but this is something that I've developed for myself and it works for me anyway. If you have a post box, for example, I type in post box. There's probably a button for under amenity, maybe, I'm not sure. But I will also put in the royal cipher, so I'll just put in post box, sometimes just PB, and then VR if it's if that's what it says in the royal cipher, and then the collection times and the type of post box, if I don't forget. It's not as important as the collection times, but so I will have PB VR 1600 hours, and then lamp, and that means it's a Victorian postbox. It gets emptied Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. because they're usually Monday to Friday, and the type is the lamp. And there's a video about how to map postboxes, a previous video, which I will link. That's for how I use it anyway. And for example, I used this track in Timahoe, where I went on the bus in County Laois, and I walked around for about 2 hours until the bus went back, and that was plenty for Timahoe. And I came across a couple of information signs that weren't mapped yet. And so what I do is I type in information, and I usually know that means information board. And then Timahoe Round Tower is what I would put in then later when I map it as the name. And that's usually you have a heading or something like that on an information board, and that's what I usually put in under name. So when I go back home and I have uploaded this track onto OpenStreetMap, I know that this is information board name Timahoe Round Tower. You can't really put an awful lot of text in it, like this is fine, but if you have an inscription, like a commemorative plaque, for example, there can be an awful lot of text on those, and you can type them all in, but you will have difficulties showing them all on the screen. So in that case, it's probably better to just put in plaque, the title or the name, and take a picture so you can transcribe it at home. Once you're done with your track, or let's say you need to use the toilet, or you need to buy a coffee or something, and you don't want the track to follow you all the way to the toilet, which now is not really no harm, but if you want to stop that track for some reason, or you're just finished, you press the floppy disk icon, which is the international standard for saving something digitally, I guess, and that will just save your track and you can continue it later on. Or you can also use the menu, which you open by pressing the 3 dots which is kind of a standard now as well. And it will open this menu there, which is under track number 15. And if you press details, you can change the name of your track, which can be useful if you have a number of tracks that you haven't uploaded yet, for example, or if you want to upload it and you want to remember where you went. For some reason you might have forgotten. It is useful to use the location you went, for example, because otherwise it will just be the date and the time, and you might not remember where you were last Friday. Well, you probably will, but it's just easier to give it a name that reminds you of what it's all about. And this will open a menu that looks similar to this, and you can change the name into your destination or your purpose there. And then in the second line, which you can't really leave. You can leave it empty just for saving it, but not for upload. And you can just put anything in there. You just can't leave the line empty. And you can just put in 3 dots or 3 question marks or just 1 question mark, I guess. And then you can set the status to private or public. That's when you upload it to OpenStreetMap. You can also display the track on your phone. So let's say you are a bit lost or something, or you just want to see where to go next. You can press display, and you need an internet connection for that. And it will show you the OpenStreetMap of the place you are and the track that you've collected so far. And you see I walked around quite a bit in Timahoe, around the village green, around the church, and I did go into the shop and I didn't stop my track. And I walked around the old graveyard quite a bit and went into the little heritage center there. And all the little stars you can see there, they're all, I think, locations where I took pictures. And you can also export your track as a GPX file, which you then can share. But it's also important to export if you have taken pictures. They will only show up on in the gallery in your phone, in the photo gallery, once you have exported the track for some reason. And again, it is useful to change the name of your track, because when you export your track into a GPX file, it will create a folder of the name of your track. And if it's just the date of your exploration, well, I don't find that convenient. I'd rather have the name of my destination as the folder, but that's just me. And if you want to upload it on OpenStreetMap, which is really the whole point of the exercise, you go to upload on OpenStreetMap. And when you do that for the first time, you will probably have to log into your OpenStreetMap account. And when you click on that, and I couldn't take a screenshot because I was already logged in, it will open a web browser on your phone, like Mozilla or whatever you use as your web browser. And you have to type in your username and your password, and then remember me is one of the tick boxes that you can see there. And then there's I think it's a blue button that says grant access, and that grants the app access to your OpenStreetMap account and will upload your track. And before it uploads, again, you can change the name of the track and put in like keywords or something like that and set the status to private or public. I always upload mine as private because I don't want to run the risk that somebody else uses my track to map stuff that I have planned to map and make a video of. And you click save and upload, and that uploads it to the OpenStreetMap.org website, and it might take a couple of minutes until it becomes available and you can actually edit it. And I will show you how to do that now. So I've uploaded the GPS track from OSMtracker into OpenStreetMap or onto OpenStreetMap, and you'll find them under GPS traces. So if you go onto the OpenStreetMap.org website, and I'll just click on that and on to see my traces, and it's the third from the top, Timahoe, and you see I have them all as private, and you can view the map that shows you where Timahoe is. Don't really want that. And you can also edit the map, which is what I want to do. So I click on that and I'll zoom in a bit, and you see the pink or fuchsia or whatever that color is called track. That's where I walked. So you see I walked a lot around the monastic site, which is here, this bit, and I went to the shop about 3 times, and I took notes. So let's start here. There are 2 information signs roughly. I think there are more over here. Like the GPS track isn't gonna be 100% at the right position, so it's good to use your memory as well. So information, I'll just type information, and it was an information board, and one was about the Leash Heritage Trail and the other one was about Timahoe Round Tower. And this one here was about the Round Tower, so that's what I type in, Timahoe Round Tower. And then you have a type here, and you can choose history, nature, notice, wildlife, plants, blah blah blah. And this one was, I would say, history, because it's about the Round Tower. And the other one was the Leash Heritage Trail, and it has heritage in it, so it was mostly about history as well. Over here was a post box just outside Cares. I don't know if that's a pub or a store or both, or if it's closed. Anyway, the post box is here, and I noted down the reference number, the reference code, and the collection times, because those are things that are going to be asked on OpenStreetMap. But I already, when I was waiting for the bus, I used Street Complete and it asked me those things, so I've already put them in. Over here, this one refers to, yeah, there was an information board on this wall, another information board, and it was about the Leash Loop Walk. And the type here would be, I think there is a hiking, yeah. So that's what I would put in here, and you can also add the direction. It doesn't make a lot of sense in this case because obviously it's not going to show inside this house. I think it was actually more like a shed or something, I'm not sure. But over here, you read it standing here, looking onto there. So the direction would be a little under 360 degrees. Yeah, 340, that'll do. And that shows the way they're facing. And what do we have here? There's a pump there, which I've already added. Then there is a wayside shrine over here, one of those grotto thingies, but I already remembered that I'm going in earlier, so I've already done that. The tag is, or the key is historic wayside shrine, and then it had an inscription, Marian year 1988, at least that's what I read. Then there is a, I'll add a driveway into the car park there, service road, and there was a cattle grid there, and that's what I noted down there, and a street light. I'll leave it here. And then I can copy that and add another street light here. I've added the speed limit. I've split this road here, the R426, and obviously inside the village it's going to be 50 and outside it's going to be 80, so I split them and added the 80 here. I think the 50 were on it already. I walked around the church, but I didn't add anything else. Okay, so there's another information sign here somewhere. I think it would be useful if I had the mapillary already. I have uploaded it, but it's not available yet. I think it was just after crossing the bridge, somewhere here. Another information board, Timahoe Church and Round Tower. And the operator is Dukas, oops, what happened there? Dukas Heritage Service. And I walked around this one here and the round tower, and there were two, let's call them flower beds maybe, where they grow herbs. Flower bed with two information signs about the plants, and I think there is a type nature, or maybe let's go with nature, and I'll copy and paste that and add the second one. And you can add the whole inscription of those signs, but I just thought that would be a bit much. Then there was a wall surrounding this. Oops. And going this way, but I'm not sure how far. But there's a style in this wall, so I'll just add that. And it's a step over style, so I can add that information. And then this is really a bit much with all these lines. This is a church building, as you can see, so it's tagged as building church. Then it was converted into a library, but that closed in 2006. So I added this use to the amenity, but it is now the Heritage Center. So it's an amenity, I would call it a museum. Type, there was a lot of history, but yeah, I guess history is the best category for it, and it's called the Timahoe Heritage Center. I'm not sure who the official operator is, it's just run by the community, and Timahoe would be the address. I'm not quite sure about the opening hours. I asked the lady that I met in there, and she said it's 12 to 4:30, but I forgot to ask the days. Well, I just add 12 to 16:30. And in the description, I'll add run by community. Don't take opening hours for gospel. I think that covers all of my notes. There's a defibrillator here that was already mapped. Please map defibrillators in your community. It could save lives. The normal bus stops are outside the Tower Inn, but this road was blocked off, so we had to go a different way. So he stopped in a different location. And there's a playground there opposite the church that isn't there in the satellite imagery, as you can see. But I left a note and added that. That's all I can see. I might add a bit more, like building heights and stuff like that, if I feel like it when the mapillary is available. And I have saved all my changes now, and I'll refresh the page now after going to the main page of OpenStreetMap.org, and I've zoomed in a bit as well. And you see some of the changes now. We have the style here, for example, and we have this information sign here and this one here, and I can't zoom in anymore. I will probably see the other one as well. It can't show both of them because they would overlap, and it doesn't do that. And there's the other one, the leash loop walk. What else did we add? The cattle grid, or those. Is it 3 or 4 lines? I can't really see it. What else? The Heritage Center is now mapped. If I go to the transport layer over here, you can see the bus line that I had mapped earlier it continues up here to Strably. I never get that right. But because I only continued the line yesterday and it's part of a relation, it takes a while to be displayed, so maybe in 2 more days it'll be there. But anyway, that's Timahoe pretty well mapped so far, and if you like, go there and go visit the Heritage Centre, maybe combine it with something else because it's a tiny village and there's not that much to do. You'll probably be done in an hour. We can go for a loop walk, of course. There's in the graveyard down there, which I didn't get to see because I didn't want to miss my bus. If you like this, please watch some of my other videos and like and subscribe and tell your friends, and I'll see you in the next video. The next one I'm going to do is probably going to be about OSMAnd, the other tracking app that you can use on your Android and your iPhone, your Android phone and your iPhone. And see you then. Slán!